Jez Corden says one thing, Jason Schreier another. What is the truth behind this desert statue that sent the online gaming community into a tizzy? We may have the answer at the end of the episode. It is December, which means that it is officially the Game Awards season, which also means it is time to apologize to any video game whose release date starts with 12. Better luck next year. And as we've come to expect after every year, a week out from Jeff Keighley's annual biggest night in gaming, the rumor mill is heating up. So for this week's episode of Rantable, we will be running through the major predictions of what to expect, what we could see revealed at the Game Awards 2025. Jeff Keighley's show is typically, on an average year, leading with major announcements being something like a Monster Hunter Wilds, supplemented by Hello Games' Light No Fire, Marvel's Blade, both really cool but have been missing since their reveal. Kojima walked on stage with Jordan Peele in 2023, and that was cool. And that's kind of what an average year is for the Game Awards. A really big thing supplemented by cool things. Do they go somewhere? Sometimes they don't. 2024 had a bit of pomp and circumstance to it because it was the 10th year celebration of the Game Awards. And considering this is the biggest night in gaming and Jeff Keighley is well liked and loved by a lot of people in the industry, as a viewer, it did feel like the announcements he was able to pull last year were, let's give Jeff one. You know, let's give him one for all the hard work. That's why we saw the show kick off with The Witcher 4 being revealed by CD Projekt Red. Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet from Naughty Dog. Jeff Keighley has a very positive relationship with Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann historically, getting a lot of news to break at his shows for the studio. Elden Ring Night Rain was there last year. From Software uses Jeff Keighley shows to announce most of their modern games, save for Elden Ring and the Duskbloods, I think. And we saw the long-awaited reveal of Fumito Ueda's Project Robot, which for a lot of people is not a big deal, but for me and for Jeff Keighley, I'm sure it was a huge, huge get. So with all of that in mind, let's get to the predictions. Now, be aware, it's all speculation and hypothesizing, largely based on vibes and the buzz that's been leading up to this show. I've got no insider info. So, looking to this year, to 2025, what is a locked and loaded expectation going into this show? Knowing that 2024 was probably an outlier, 2023 Monster Hunter Wilds is the expectation of what's likely. I can't believe I'm saying this, but we live in a world where I really feel the locked and loaded prediction for the Game Awards 2025 is the reveal of Half-Life 3. You've seen the rumors, I've seen the rumors. I am really not a Half-Life person. I love Portal and I love my Steam Deck, and the Steam Machine is such a cool idea, but I do think it is fascinating that Valve opened the door on this potential new era for the team and hardware with the Steam Machine, no price, no date, with the Game Awards on the not-too-distant horizon. And a lot of people aptly have pointed out that if you're pushing hardware, you might want to have an exclusive. They shipped the Index with Half-Life Alyx. They shipped the Steam Deck with Aperture Desk Job. So it is kind of expected, based off of trends, that Valve will have some kind of software announcement paired with this upcoming hardware. Now, if you're pushing a traditional console-type pre-built PC ecosystem, what's a traditional game they could ship? Half-Life 3. Looking at this show, that is my one expectation. I do believe that if we are going to see a Half-Life 3, if it is going to be ready for the Steam Machine launch in early 2026, it's going to be here. Because Jeff Keighley kind of built his career off of Valve and that relationship he's developed with them as a team. At the very least, if it's not Half-Life 3 or Half-Life X, Half-Life whatever, I could see Valve bring an update on the Steam Machine, be it pricing or a launch date, similar to how Xbox revealed the Series X at the Game Awards years ago. Next is the best old rumor game slot. Think your Metroid Prime Trilogy remasters, your Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD Switch ports, I'm still waiting on those. Think of games along those lines, something that was an enticing rumor and went away. This is kind of also an award of the thing I think is the most interesting that's been rumored this year, so we will not be highlighting the Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag remake that could likely show up here. To me, the most interesting game that was rumored this year that has not yet been announced, that I do believe sounds like a real game, is the Greek God of War 2D Metroidvania spin-off title. We've seen Sony use the Game Awards and Summer Game Fest to announce or reveal or update folks on big games with their big IP, and there's this idea of a God of War Metroidvania. It just feels like something that is actually going to happen, almost. Eric Williams, the director of God of War Ragnarok, went on the record on the Kinda Funny Games cast a while ago and said he wanted to make a Castlevania game pretty bad. And in this age of Sony scrambling to try and get smaller games like an Astrobot, a Lego Horizon out the door, after canceling all of these live service projects that they need to have games to get out that are not the traditional big adventure games, a Metroidvania God of War game, sure, sounds cool, I'd play it, and I bet that's here. Third, one for Christian. I'm rating this one, I get one for me. I know what I'm inviting here. However, I do think it is extremely likely, based off momentum of interview circuits and general time vicinity to when this game probably is releasing, and how the timeline of announcement to release of the last game went, that we will be walking out of the Game Awards 2025 knowing the name, the date, the logo coloring, and maybe a little teaser of the third game in the Final Fantasy VII Remake project. Again, we have lived a history of Square Enix using Jeff Keighley's shows to reveal or showcase big games in the Final Fantasy series. We saw Summer Game Fest showcase Final Fantasy VII Rebirth before its 2024 February release date. I do believe the early 2027 window that a lot of people are speculating about, so I could see, realistically, since there's no DLC for Rebirth, announce that the third game is coming about a year, 13, 14 months out from when people are expecting it, and we're conveniently getting a port of Remake on the very successful Nintendo Switch 2 just a few weeks later, direct people there, start the journey, the whole thing's going to be multi-platform by the end. It makes sense, it's for me, moving on. The game that was previously announced that you completely forgot existed, but I do think will get re-revealed at the show, is The Witcher Remake. I played The Witcher Enhanced Edition for the first time earlier this year as a big fan of the world, just because of The Witcher 3, the show, what I've read of the books, and I was charmed. It is, however, a game that I feel many people who like The Witcher 3 would not be able to play. And an outsourced Witcher 1 remake, I think, is maybe even likely to release next year based off when it was announced. It's not being developed by CD Projekt Red. Just recently, we did hear confirmation that The Witcher 4 will not be present at the Game Awards this year, but that doesn't mean that a different team couldn't come with a Witcher project, that being The Witcher 1 remake. Now, if you've made it this far, I know you're wondering, what is that statue? Is it God of War, like a lot of the internet thinks, like a big God of War game, not the Metroidvania I was talking about? Is it based on the armor design, the armor plating? Is it teasing God of War Egypt? Allegedly, Cory Barlog says no. Is it another beat for Saros? Because that's coming out pretty soon, early 2026. The iconography fits the game, what we've seen of it so far, and Sony does love doing random statues in different locations, so could be. Is it the next Diablo 4 expansion? And some other thing, apparently, according to Jez Corden. Who's to say? Jason Schreier says it's not that. And he also says it's not the Elder Scrolls 6. But he does say it's a good one. A good reveal. A good game. A good tease? So my prediction of what the hell this statue means does not rely on an IP. It does not rely on a game people have been waiting for, at least that they know they've been waiting for years and years and years. It is, however, something that, if it's good, if it's great, I think will maybe be a game on the level of this year with Expedition 33. In terms of people are very caught off guard, very surprised, an independent team brought this to life, and Jeff Keighley specifically also loves propping up smaller, independent, unknown teams, especially lately. Highlighting an up-and-comer in this way makes a lot of sense to me at the end of the year of Claire Obscure Expedition 33. And that game is Exodus. I'm not even super excited for Exodus at the moment. I'm interested in the prospect of it as somebody who really enjoys Mass Effect 2, and if you're unfamiliar, Exodus is a game that is being made by a bunch of former BioWare talent. Drew Karpyshyn, who has written many beloved Star Wars novels, wrote the Darth Bane series a while back for the old canon, did have a role on the Mass Effect trilogy, wrote some of the books as well for Mass Effect. They are writing this and developing this in effort to try and recapture some of the magic of Mass Effect. You're not Shepard, you're the Traveler, who I believe is voiced by Matthew McConaughey. If this game is about to come along and be the Mass Effect game that people have been waiting for in all but name, if this game is truly great and has so much promise to deliver on something that N7 Day this year could not, I think that is what will make this statue good. It's also being published by Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast, I believe, has the money and resources to commission a statue like this, put it in the middle of nowhere to get their game spotlighted in some way. And do you want to know how I feel very confident that it's going to be Exodus? Look at the details on the statue. There's like some demon-looking things, some skeletons, some alien-looking things. There's also a bear. And the bear, I think, is what got people thinking Diablo initially, where it does look demonic, but the bear's like, oh, the druid. But the other day, in passing, I saw footage of Exodus, and there was a bear. There was a bear in this space game alongside the demonic-looking aliens. I feel like that could be the locked and loaded. If not for Half-Life 3, I would put Exodus in the lock. So there you have it, my 5 hyper-specific predictions for the Game Awards 2025. To recap, the locked and loaded game is Half-Life 3. The best long-awaited rumored game that's going to get an announcement finally is the God of War 2D Metroidvania. The one for Christian is Final Fantasy VII Returns. The game you forgot existed but will be a hype announcement is The Witcher Remake. And lastly, what the hell is this statue? It's going to be potentially your next favorite spacefaring RPG, living on in the shadow of Mass Effect and creating something new, Exodus. Let me know what you think of my predictions. I'm sure we will revisit this and look at what actually gets revealed at the Game Awards. But in the comments, I would love to hear your predictions for your locked and loaded, the one for you, the game you forgot about, and what you think this statue is, because it is anybody's guess. But thank you so much for tuning in. For future episodes of Rantable, you can stay tuned right here and over on GameRant.com.